What are we talking about today? We're going to start with Daft Punk.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey guys, how you doing? This is, what is my name? My name?
Davey,
David.
Leonardo da Vinci.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yes, I'm quote David Jones unquote, and you are
Mick Jones,
all right, quote unquote,
quote
Mick
unquote.
Jones. Yeah, I like
No
it.
relation.
No, none at all. Thank God.
Yeah, I would be highly offended if that were the case. We can bicker like brothers, but we can't actually be brothers because of like the restraining orders and stuff. It just even legally it wouldn't wash. We
No,
just wouldn't
totally
make that
not.
work. No. Okay. What's up, my non-brother brother?
So I was listening to music at full volume over the weekend, and well, one of the albums that really got my attention, because it got a lot of people's attention, was Random Access Memories by our friends Daft Punk.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like really popular with audiophiles.
Really?
Yeah, like they really like love it. It's like, oh yeah, it's one of my like reference discs. I'm gonna throw out an unpopular opinion here, and I don't know what your opinion is. It was kind of lame, dude. What did let's start with you, Mick. What do you think of Daft Punk? What did you think of Random Access Memories?
Well, first of all, let me put this because this is something I want to ask you right off the bat is in general, do I have this right? Like from what you've played for me and stuff, you're not really like a big EDM dance type
I mean, it's
fan,
not
right?
look, I mean, it's not my favorite genre, but I understand it, and I think I'm uh, sophisticated enough to recognize musicality when it's there and to enjoy any. I mean, I think I'm old enough, let's put it that way, to enjoy pretty much any genre that's kind of placed in front of me.
Well, I played you the Kraftwerk reissue vinyl, the 50th on
Yeah, that was dope.
and it sounded amazing, right? And I just love the whole irony of me being Mr. Digital, having like something analog, but then it also being like one of the great original, like even though it was analog synths, but one of the great quote unquote modern synthesizer kind of music.
Yeah,
Okay, so what I'm going to say though, just so we kind of establish some of my bona fides or bona fides, depending on however,
where you're
if you're
from.
from Canada or not or whatever.
Ah,
Um, so I have loved electronic music, like probably back when I first saw Koyaanisqatsi in the movie theater. That idea of electronic. I know that Philip Glass wasn't doing really electronic, but that minimalist, pulsating, very sequenced sounding sound. I loved disco as a kid. I loved early rap before they even called it hip hop. And so sampling, digital music in all its forms, the modern, like electronic kind of sounds is something that is very near and dear to my heart. And I've been massively into like house music, progressive dance music for well over 30 years now, like the modern era. So I listen to a lot of it. I listen to a lot of dance music, house music, EDM,
right.
progressive, whatever you want to
Music
call it.
that I like to call
Unts?
mm, 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 mm,
Oh,
mm,
yes, yes, yes,
mm,
yes.
mm.
I thought you were saying like Utes, like in my cousin
Ah,
Benny or something. Like it's Utes music. The
no, I
Utes
call it
Unts. Oh, I
mm.
like that. I
Yeah, I
like
think
that.
that's U with an umlaut, NTS.
Yeah. I love it. Unts music. That's beautiful.
Uns Haus, yeah.
um, so anyway, so that is a genre is extremely near and dear to my heart, and I listen to a lot, and I'm always checking out new stuff and whatever. So that said, and this is going to surprise you, I think Random Access Memories is like basically a sack of dog shit.
Oh
I think it,
shit.
I think it is such crap.
Oh wow, thank you, because I was a little afraid of.
I cannot for the life of me explain why, in a world where all this other music exists that I listen to and love on a daily basis, why anybody would have any interest in playing a Daft Punk track. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt in the beginning, and I listened. And you know what I was just rocking last week? I was rocking Get Lucky, like with
Really?
Pharrell Williams. Like it's a silly banging track, but it's a banger. And I'm not going to like deny them that. That's a phenomenal, like, it's silly, it's empty, but it's got Nile Rodgers and the whole thing. I love it. So like, I don't mind if they can have their big hits and whatever, but you listen to those albums, I think they're just caca. I do, David. I'm sorry. Like, and I know you're not a big fan either, but I'm coming from someone with a passion for that style of music as well. And I just don't hear anything of redeeming quality. And I'll tell you, when I talk about the hipster thing, you got me going on this now. So
I
better,
know I
better.
did. I know you did. Well, no, it's good because I get to just sit back and listen.
Daft Punk, I don't hate or whatever. I just think they're just like useless. Like, I've got no use for their music, whatever. But I'll tell you something, an album I did kind of hate, and I also hated it partly because of the reaction, the hipster reaction. I was in Brooklyn, and all the people I knew, and you heard it every hipster store, every cafe, everything you went on for I don't know how long. It seemed like for a decade to me. It was probably about a year, but was Moby's Play. Oh, Lord, it's coming so high. I mean, it was the most egregious, disgusting case of Ooga Boogaism in like hipster music, sampling these like black artists to give like legitimacy, authenticity to the great colonizer. The beats were so weak. The songs were so weak. He had a big hit with South Side. I mean, it's barely marginally passable as a musical entertainment, but the rest of that album was absolutely enraged me to the point where like I wanted to just like run into record stores and just smash all the copies and run out.
Wow.
It was so awful, and it just angered me on so many levels because it was so inauthentic, so grotesque, so musically weak, and just using these samples over and over again in the most trite, cliched ways. It was all like it was all that pilfered authenticity from the old blues records with no musical muscle or real vision or insight or anything under it. I want to say also with Moby Play, like that's what bothered me. It's like the cultural appropriation. It's just like there's nothing inherently good about that album. I what angered me is I felt that the cultural appropriation is the entire point of that album and why it was praised the way it was. Like it's all, oh, look, he's mixing blues. Wow, that's so radical. That's so this or that. That's so cool. But you still listen to it. It's still that singer. It's still their voice. It's still their words. It's still their music that he's just putting some weak ass beats underneath and some really stupid transitions and stuff under. Really predictable. There was boring and predictable then. It's not like it's like it was ahead of its time and then the time's whatever. It was boring then. It bored me to tears back then.
But now aren't
eh,
there other artists who have done like precisely the same thing as what Moby did? Find some old track, loop it, put a beat behind it, and call it their own. I mean, Led Zeppelin did it, for God's sakes. I mean, they didn't sample, but they were basically like, "Hey, I like that." Let's
well,
listen.
yeah, of course, and that's a whole other thing. We could talk about cultural appropriation over the years, but I mean, like this whole album, though, that is the hook. The hook is the old are the blues samples. That's all there is.
Right.
There's other people like the Chainsmokers. Okay, they're like pop EDM. I think they're just absolutely awful and they're trite, but they don't enrage me because like, but again, they found their inroads through like remixing indie bands and kind of making this name for themselves. So like, ooh, we got a remix by these cool guys called the Chainsmokers, whatever. The music is insanely bad. And but I don't hate them. I may hate their music, but it's the same thing with Daft Punk. Like, I think their music is awful, truly bad for any lover of EDM or whatever.
Is that across the board for their entire catalog or just Random Access Memories?
I haven't heard anything of Daft Punk's that I've really dug. No, I haven't heard anything. I've listened to all the stuff that I'm aware of. Maybe there's some like B-side on a 12-inch single I don't know about, but like all their main releases and stuff, I've listened to all of it. Yeah, no, I listen to everybody. I give everybody a chance, and I'll give you the other side, like David Guetta. the French DJ. Hilarious. Like, got such a great sense of humor. He does so much, like, and he is a little bit of that, like, French Euro kind of like sleazy Euro disco-y vibe, but it's like a persona he puts on, a character almost. But some of his music is actually really good. It's really interesting, and he's been at it a long time, and I respect him. Another DJ kind of producer duo, Book of Shade. I love those guys. Like Max Cooper has some phenomenal stuff, Emergence, and some of his recent work. He's very prolific, and I think maybe he's a little overly prolific at times, but because I almost feel like, wow, like just like focus a little more, a little deeper, and like develop some of these ideas. No, but that album is like Emergence is like insanely brilliant. Like I listen to that regularly. So there's plenty of stuff out there of different artists, different types that I appreciate and love for what they do. But man, Daft Punk is not one of those groups.
So let me ask you then, what did Daft Punk do right? I mean, you just listed off, all these bands that seem to do what they do, only do it better, but yet Daft Punk seem to have checked some sort of cultural box, and they've been anointed like the EDM overlords and like an audiophile favorite, and I just don't see it. So what's their special sauce?
That's a great question. I think
know
if
it
anybody
is.
could,
Sorry.
it's if anybody could bottle that. I mean, look, I have a friend who's actually a Swiftie who's actually really like I asked to try to teach me like about what Taylor Swift is, like why this music I should care. And I've been getting like these like regular little updates, like listen this track, listen that track, listen that track, because I'm trying to always stay flexible and stay listenable. There's some very good writing. There's some really good lyrical stuff. I mean, her voice is god awful. I mean, it's really bad. She can't sing for shit. Her musical ideas, it's like very heavily like processed, produced, but it's very like superficial. The music's very superficial. She obviously can't dance. I mean, you always see her with that same like, that big like gawky like.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold that against her. I mean, Ian Anderson couldn't dance.
What, of Jethro Tull?
Yeah.
Oh, you're just trolling now, David. Come on, you're just trolling.
All right, continue.
Yeah, so I'm trying to become a Swiftie. Like, I'm not trying to become a Swiftie, but I'm trying to like get inside the mind of a Swiftie. Like, I'm willing to go into some dark places, David, is what I'm saying. My passion for this, for music, for audio, I am willing to listen to sometimes hours of like Taylor Swift music. Okay?
Wow.
You're welcome.
Ooh.
You're welcome. Yeah. And I'm about to write a really nasty song about you that's going to like reveal all these embarrassing little secrets I know about you. And then I'm going to go like, and I'm going to like play it for millions of people around the globe. I'm going to start writing revenge songs about you, David Jones.
Oh, about me. Oh,
yes,
shit.
about you.
Well, hey, look, at least somebody's paying attention.
But like, so what's her deal? Okay, well, she's obviously worked harder than everybody else out there. She's been started very young, which is very helpful. If you get that head start when you're like 12 years old and you're playing, playing gigs and doing whatever. So there is certainly something of the prodigy about her, but she's just like a celebrity prodigy. She's like a famous pop singer, a famous pop star prodigy. There's nothing in her music that is, to me, shows a real prodigy at work. But I'm still making up my mind. But that's something like, in other words, you asked what the phenomenon is. Why does Daft Punk get anointed like this? I don't know. I don't understand why Taylor Swift's been anointed like that. It's hard work, it's connections, it's having cute little robot helmets they wear, like that get noted. And I could say some other things were about some of the audiences that make this happen. I love LCD Sound System, but I also at the same time always felt they were a bit overhyped. Like, I don't know how they like filled the Madison Square Garden. I love their work, but I'm still not quite sure how that happened.
Okay.
I would have thought maybe they were like in Irving Plaza. Maybe they were a place of like 3,000 to 5,000 people, not like 30 to 20, 30. But that's just but I'm older. So I don't know about that. Even 25 years ago, whenever they did their 20 something years ago, they did their like farewell tour thing or whatever at the time. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. Like, how did they end up there?
I'll give them a spin.
Oh, LCD?
Yeah, I'll give them a spin. Because I think this is like the second or third time in like 2 weeks that I've heard somebody mention them who's not you. I'm gonna make a mental note of LCD. Was it sound system?
Sound system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's what the kids are listening to, I'll take a spin.
Well, not really. Those kids are all now in their 40s.
Well, they're still younger than me.
Yeah, but he's like I love them and I love the music, but what makes people into phenomenons? I everybody wishes they knew. If everybody knew, that I'll do it, right? I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly hard work. It's a lot of luck. It's timing, it's having the right, it's not getting like crushed under the wheels of a corrupt and evil industry like so many people do, or getting screwed, or your manager runs off with whatever money you've earned or whatever. There's so many horror stories that if you just survive and make it, survive long enough, you might be lucky enough to break through. I'm happy for people who do. I'm happy for people who do, but it happens. It happens to people whose music I like, and it happens to people whose music I do not comprehend, including Daft Punk. I think it's weak sauce. Weak sauce, my brother.
I think
Weak sauce.
that's a very good way to describe them as weak sauce. I was sort of looking forward to it. I had the house all to myself. You put it up on the upstairs system. Me and the dog Cooper. We.
Hey, Cooper.
I think it was probably at like 90, 92 dB, something like that. So I was like, okay, I had the subwoofer thumping, and I was like looking forward to it. I had the popcorn ready. I was like, come on, impress me. I would say by the third track, I was scrolling through my phone.
Oh yeah.
In my sense, committed the worst offense that one could as a musician, and that was to be boring. And that's all that I got out of it was, hey, this is fairly well produced, not terribly interesting, and actually quite dull. I found myself bored. And as an artist, that's the last thing that you want from your audience. You want to piss them off? Hey, at least you got an emotional reaction. Make them laugh. Hey, at least you got an emotional reaction. But boredom, where the work that you're doing has like zero impact, it's that to me is a cardinal sin. And I feel that it's just a head of lettuce. It's just not great. It tastes like whatever you put on it. I just found that it was just dull, man. And we could talk about like cultural appropriation and all that. I don't know. I mean, look, I think anybody can have soul, anybody can have funk. You just have to be in touch with it. You got to be able to hit the one, as they say. I then like went online. I'm like, am I the only one thinking this? Am I the only one? Because again, audiophiles are like, dude, it's so good, and I use it to test out my system. I'm like, why? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, is it dynamic? Not really. Does it have bass? Well, yeah. So does, every other EDM track out there. I think of Daft Punk and I just immediately think of a head of iceberg lettuce.
And maybe that's what people want. Maybe that's the most popular topping on a sandwich for a reason. Who the hell knows? I don't know what it is, man, but I do not think it's reference quality. A lot of people also I've given their Tron soundtrack, the Tron remake. I actually gave that a spin not too long ago, within the last couple of months or over the winter at some point. And yeah, I mean, there's some nice sounding stuff. It's okay, but no. My votes would be you want to have something, at least give a few things a shot. Max Cooper, the album Emergence, I think has some great reference tracks on it. Some of Book of Shade stuff, maybe the album Movements or Galvani Street has some bangers on it, or Dear Future Self, which the title track is just a personal favorite of mine, although I wouldn't say that's necessarily a reference track. It's just a personal favorite of mine. There's a lot of great music out there. Phenomenal Hand Clap Band. They kind of definitely go a little more retro vibe, but oh god, some of their stuff is great, and they have a sense of humor, and they're really just fun, and they kind of get it. They're smart. I just like their choices. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just when you mentioned Daft Punk and I was thinking about it and say we were going to talk about it, like I started having like bad flashbacks. Again, it's not gonna matter, people. But man, I would just much rather listen to like Ultra Naté or a Trent DJ session or Kerry Chandler or some MK remixes or whatever. If I'm going back to that time, maybe the 90s, I'm thinking Masters at Work. I'm thinking, yeah, MK. I'm thinking Tony Humphries and Frankie Nichols. I'm thinking Atkins and the Detroit guys, Merck, Ralph and Oscar of the Merck Records out of Miami, in deep, intense stuff they did. I'm just thinking all kinds of stuff, and like none of it is even. And I don't mean to like sound like I'm cooler or hipper than now, but I mean like I love music, man, and I follow, like I try to learn about the music I love, and then so when I hear something that's just so obviously like wackadoodle and just outselling other, I think, much better music like 10,000 to 1, of course I get resentment. I'm like, well, I wish these other bands were out there, I mean,
I hear you, man. I mean, it's a tale as old as time. What can I say? All right, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're talking about chicks who are audiophiles. Okay, guys, we're back. Mick, not a lot of ladies in our hobby.
no.
I mean, and I really don't think I'm the first person to notice this. And it's going to be a topic that actually we're going to talk about several times in this podcast and in future podcasts, because it's kind of interesting. It's like, what is it? What is it about audiophilia that attracts like 95% men? Is it just because we have dicks? Is that it? We're just used to playing with something?
Speak for yourself.
My wife, for example, she's got an excellent ear. And I'm like, hey, it's not like she doesn't enjoy music. She does. When she like is focused on listening to music, she hears shit that I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, you know what? She's right. I'm trying to like figure out and hypothesize about an observation without sounding like a chauvinist pig. And is that hard? Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. At first, I want to say that she, I think she only just pretends to enjoy music around you.
Oh,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I could see that.
It's like kind of like
Placating.
faking musical, pleasure.
Yeah,
Maybe.
sort of like an emotional tap on my head. Like, oh, yeah, that's so sweet.
It's funny you should mention that because I have been trying to answer this. Now, first of all, it's not that there aren't women, it's just we never hear about them because they
I
don't.
don't see him. I don't see him. I know. I mean, any like quote unquote audiophile event that I've gone to, 95% dudes.
It's interesting because I found something a little while back that I've been wanting to talk about on this subject that I found, and it's actually a thesis that a PhD candidate wrote. It was submitted in August 2015. It's from Anglia Ruskin University, and by the author is Alex Annetz. And the title of the thesis is Masculinity and Gear Fetishism in Audio Technology Community Discourse.
Oh, right up my
Right?
Yeah.
Right there. And the subtitle here is a thesis in partial fulfillment of the requirements of Anglia Ruskin University for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, submitted August 2015.
So this is like a doctoral thesis?
It's a doctoral thesis about this very subject. First of all, I wanted to bring this up because it lets me use the word phallogocentrism very frequently, and you're going to be very impressed. When I say phallogocentrism, you go, oh, Shackleby, and you kind of cower.
Enjoy it while you can.
You present the rump for lordosis, and you just you see, it's almost weird. It's almost like meta, because like the
I
actual,
wouldn't say it's almost weird. It is weird.
the thesis itself could almost be, when you have words like phallogocentrism, are they themselves phallogocentrist works?
You lost me at phallogocentric.
See, that's my PhD thesis. Okay, so I'll just read you a little bit of the intro. Try to stay with me. Try to stay awake, David.
Oh, yeah, I'll try. Okay.
Yeah. This thesis is a study of audio technology, community discourse, and its historical features.
You lost me already.
Oh, shut up. I contend that the audio technology domain is fundamentally exclusive and hierarchically stratified based on discursively inscribed prerequisites to participation and enunciation, notably a hegemonic masculine performance, gear fetishism, and the articulation of technical knowledge. In other words, it's the Audio Science Review website.
Wow.
I show that communities organized around audio technology socially construct and perpetuate these features as components of their respective discourses. So far, dude, I got to tell you, no lies detected in this intro to this thesis. This is exactly one of the things that. Now, I'm a guy who can get angry about a shitty techno album from like 1999, and I can still froth and rage about it in 2020, whatever we're in. 5, 6, 7.
Can you just summarize what you read for me?
The realm of online or community discourse about audio is governed by rules, hierarchical structures and rules and jargon and terminology that is in its very essence exclusionary and masculinist in its entire approach. In that certain things have value, certain things do not have value. For example, I used Audio Science Review as a very excellent example of this, like, I think just toxic, metastasizing like cancer in our hobby, which is that at first it was like they actually call themselves objectivists, and like that, and in the beginning it was like any notion that you could hear a difference was openly mocked and laughed at. And if you kept up with that line, you were either banned from the site or you were like bullied and shut down. And then the founder of the site made like hierarchies, like you could move up the ranks by donating to the site. So then if you had like chief lieutenant under your name and avatar, and you got to get a little blue asterisk next to your avatar, then you were higher up than the next person down the chain. And then he flipped total harmonic distortion plus noise, the THD plus N, flipped it around to represent it as a signal over noise and distortion, which would be expressed as a positive number, like how in decibels or 120, 119, 118. And that made for very nice penile charts of like bigger is better. And it actually became a very literal dick measuring contest.
So it does have something to do with dicks.
It's all about dicks and run by dicks for dicks. And so if you had a SINAD of 115, you were objectively better than the DAC that had a SINAD of 114. And so you'd have this little like line, these little bar charts going up. And and these if you were a higher up lieutenant, you could browbeat the other people lower than you because you had the right techno speak. And I watched this unfold because I was a very early observer of this site, and I was aghast at the absolute shit garbage science. It was not science. It was like so many mistakes, so many like dumb errors, unforced errors. And people who criticize it were just immediately blocked. Dissent is punished. You cannot talk back to the big Bawana, the guy who has the $40,000 audio precision machine. It's a scientific cargo cult, and he is the great master, the grand poobah. And then, like most cults over time, as certain truths that they were rejecting became inescapable, like you can hear differences, you cannot understand audio by looking at measurements, they didn't acknowledge any error or wrongdoing. They just started folding that into the lexicon and started using that into their scripture. And they just rolled with it. They just rolled right over and they just gobbled it all up. And they were like, no, of course you can hear differences. Except that's literally what they spent the first several years viciously cutting down anyone who said that. So I have a huge, like, moral, ethical, phenomenological, philosophical, whatever you want to call it, problem with that site, and it spawned a bunch of imitators. So that's what they're talking about. So then I'll just say the author writes about the methodology of comparative discourse analysis of industry and academic texts. So he talks about certain like or she talks about case studies conducted on two leading industry publications, Tape Op and Sound on Sound, and then supplemented by an exploration of Women's Audio Mission, a group that was founded to sort of like explore and talk about some of these issues at another university. I think I was reading to like that actually maybe in San Francisco, a school that was actually trying to actively recruit more women into the audio engineering ranks and what it would take and how to kind of undo some of this brainwashing and this kind of like rigid techno jargon approach that has kind of strangled that, which is what kills the hobby. And that's what angers me about this hobby anyway, because it's turning it like, so I call them audio incels and the rest of it, because there's just such a deeply grotesque and unhealthy stench to this whole side of our hobby that I am the committed enemy of these people. Like I am the committed enemy of the pseudoscientists. I call them the audio incels. That's really not fair to incels. So I will call them I'm now calling them the mutton chops, because like they're like the old guys who had sit in the 19th century in the British Scientific Union and say, here, we cannot have a woman, and literally the author does go back to some of that, saying like going back in Victorian times and public versus private spaces, and how a lot of these things, how we think about work and technology and what has value, rationality and technical jargon over intuition, let's say, or compassion or whatever.
And I hear all of that, and let me just interrupt you for a sec, because, I mean, you brought up a lot of themes, a lot of really, interesting ideas. But, the cynic in me says, okay, well, this has seemingly been a thing the audiophile world has marketed to men, but is that because there was simply no interest detected by the industry by women? Is this something that the industry is putting their hands up in the air and saying, look at the numbers, 95% guys, you go to Exponent, 95% guys. Is the industry simply responding to what is obvious to some? Before the web, they were still marketing to men. So which way do you think it is? I just don't see that many blockades in the industry right now.
That's sort of like saying I don't see why there shouldn't be more like African American partners at Goldman Sachs, because like obviously they can go to college and study these like econ and get MBAs if they want. Or like why aren't there more like women or minority airline pilots for the major airlines? Why is it over 95% white men? Oh, just women aren't interested in flying planes. Bullshit. I actually happen to know one of the very first women like fighter pilots who was ever allowed to like take off and land on an aircraft carrier. I think she was actually number two, but
How could
like,
she do that while she was cooking breakfast for everybody?
well, I know we laugh, but like that's funny, but like, but and I've had this argument with other people, like someone saying like a guy in the media world back in the 90s who was arguing that like people just weren't interested in being journalists. They just weren't interested in working in that industry. Of course they would hire them. There was no bias or cultural bias there. No one was rejecting any applicants on the basis of the color. There just weren't any applicants. So these structures have been built, right? These structures have been built, and the rules are there, and the customs are there, and the roads into them are defined. And no, it's a much bigger topic for my little brain. It's way over my pay grade, right? But this person, Alex Annitz, it's 233 pages, so it's something I would like to be referring back to. I've only read maybe the first third, and I have to reread stuff because there are big words like phallogocentrism. I've had to reread that word and look it up so many times that now like I can actually.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, it's like phallocentrism and logocentrism. So phallocentrism is the organizing principle is basically around men, like
Okay. Oh, like the phallus.
It's a yes, and then logocenter being that like rationality, like this assumption that there is a rational reason and rationality and certain amount of logic that can explain away the other part. So it's like you end up basically with, those two sucking all the oxygen kind of out of the room, if you will, in terms of like creating barriers to access and defining things and who gets to define what is rational, right? Who gets to define what is reasonable? And that's what I was saying, going back to these pseudoscience sites. There was a tremendous effort, a real concerted effort to not only gamify measurements and turn it into like a hierarchy, like that you can win, you can score points and move up. The whole structure of that world is a very like this masculinist, like achieved, and if you know the right words and if you say the right things, and not one of them, I guess, really has a good enough mirror that they can look in and actually see with their own eyes that they're completely full of shit.
Mm,
None of them can actually has a good, clean enough mirror to actually just see that they're talking total caca bullshit.
gotcha. Gotcha.
Whatever tiny little dribs and drabs of factual accuracy might be in some of those numbers, that it's all wrapped in a huge giant package of just pure irrelevancy and bullshit. Because as one famous amp designer said, they're measuring flea farts. What they're really doing is so insignificant and so unimportant, but they built it into this huge like masculinist cult with jargon and their own language and their own hierarchies and their own, literal dick measuring graphs and charts and things that like bigger dick better, smaller dick worse. I think that's what keeps women away. You want to know? Like, you want to know what is going to repulse a woman is like going onto one of those sites and spending 5 minutes there, and they're going to be like, this is disgusting. These people are assholes. I don't want to be.
And that to me right there, that makes sense to me. That throughout the history of audiophilia, maybe let's call it 100 years. Yes, initially, I believe that somebody said, okay, well, we are targeting the man of leisure. And from that point forward, yeah, maybe there was like this kind of structure in place that just became so normative, so just normal, that people decided, okay, well, this is just the way it is. And yeah, maybe there have been these, what is it, ASR? Maybe there have been these ASR troglodytes throughout the last 100 years.
Don't forget, in our lifetimes, David, women could not get their own credit card. They could not open a bank account without their husband's approval. How many housewives have like the purchasing power or the decision-making like authority or agency to like actually say, yeah, we're going to plunk down like the equivalent of 6 months salary on an audio thing?
So let me ask you this, in the 5 minutes that we have left, what's the answer? What's the answer?
There is no single answer. It's just keep, you know what? Think for yourself. Look around, see what's actually happening. Try to see what's really going on. Thinking for yourself is painful. It's hard. You make mistakes. You fall around. But listen for yourself. If you want to be an audiophile, listen. You have to develop your own listening style. It's an emotional, biological, physical, psychological, full body, full contact, physiological act. And so think for yourself, listen for yourself, and you will be a happier person, I guarantee it.
Yes, you're 100% right. But does that advice get more women into the fold, under the tent?
It does if the people who are gatekeepers and who have access get their heads out of their asses and actually understand, like, it's not a problem if no one identifies it as a problem, right? So be active. I don't know, get activist. Support organizations that aren't so like masculinist and toxic and like absurdly ignorant and stupid, like actually like look for different perspectives, broaden your mind. So that's what I think. That's what I try to do. And sometimes it's you find something wonderful, and then other times, it's you end up with Daft Punk.
Just to bring it around full circle.
That's a full circle. Is as full we're gonna get, right?
Oh, and by the way, mansplaining is the combination of the words man and explain. So I just wanted to put that. I just wanted to put that out there for our listeners.
I'm gonna go phallocentric on that.
I'm just going to go straight up phallocentric. Maybe there are some steps that you and I can take to include, be more inclusive. Is that?
Oh, you want to use this podcast to pick up chicks, is what you're saying.
Well, not directly, but let's just say that might be a fringe benefit. No, it's more like we can't solve a problem if we don't necessarily identify steps positive actual action items that we can take.
Yes, I have certain people, and we'll talk about that offline, and we'll start getting we'll start pulling out a more diverse lineup of guests. And when we start we've only had the one so far. As we start ramping up for more guests, we will certainly be doing.
Yeah, I think that maybe should be something that we bring up with each of the guests, particularly if they're in the world of like retail or manufacturing, if they're like part of a company, be like, hey, what are you doing to attract the ladies? Exactly. My daughter would either be so proud of me right now or want to like slit my throat. I'm not sure.
And if I don't hear from you again, I'll know
She'll know exactly what happened.
They'll never find your body. They'll never find your body, David.
Dude, I can't even find my body. And I don't even know what the hell that means. Why did I say that?
You having trouble seeing your toes? Come on, what is it?
No, I'm losing weight, man. I've been on this ridiculous keto diet now for a week. I've been eating nothing but animal protein. I mean, I swear to God, no animal is safe near me. Cooper even runs away. What I've decided to do is basically eat a lot of chicken, eat a lot of beef, eat a lot of pork, and sit on the couch and listen to a lot of music.
And watch the pounds just melt away, my friend.
I'll just be a grotesque sweating mass, constipated. Speaking of constipation, we got to go. So, thanks everybody for listening. Again, I am David Jones.
I'm Mick Jones.
And keep your keep the record spinning. Keep your damn records clean. Do you have a catchphrase you'd like to throw out there? That's awesome. Sounds good. All right, everybody, take care. Bye.